Hi guys, happy Thursday. I hope everyone's having a great day. If you are not new, welcome back. If you are new, welcome to the channel, welcome to the party. Let's have some fun. It's Titans Day, Season 3, Episodes 1 through 3. This is the in-depth review. I don't know how long this is going to be. I took notes and for each episode. I don't want it to be forever long, but who knows, right? So let's just jump right into it because there's there's a lot we got to talk about. So season 3, episode 1, titled Barbara Gordon. We start off with we have the setup for Jason becoming Red Hood. He's on the phone with Bruce. He's like, I found the Joker. Let's get him right now. I got him dead to rights. Bruce is like, no, I'm not there. I'm not going to be there till tomorrow. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now, obviously, this is Jason we're talking about. So, of course, he's going to go after him. And I don't know why Bruce didn't put that in his calculation. Nightwing should have been on the phone right after you got off the phone with Jason. I don't know why Nightwing wasn't called. This is the Joker we're talking about. This isn't some 2-bit villain. This isn't the Riddler, the Penguin, right? This is the Joker who has wreaked havoc and trauma on your Bat family, period. And the fact that Dick wasn't on the phone, you fucked up. And then, why the hell aren't you in Gotham, Bruce? This is the Joker, who I'm sure has been loose in the streets of Gotham long before this phone call. You should be here, not wherever the hell. No, you should be here. That's ridiculous, but fine. Before Jason goes to confront the Joker, he huffs some sort of gas. Or really a drug in an oxygen mask. And the first time I looked at it, I immediately thought of fear toxin because it was yellow, and that's pretty much it. I just immediately associated it with fear toxin, but I'm like, I don't know if that really makes sense, because normally fear toxin is something you would want to impose on someone else, not yourself, because they would give them paranoia and it would, drive them to probably maybe kill themselves because they're so afraid of their greatest fear or whatever. Unless you re-engineered it. Which, at this point, I think Jason did. I think he definitely re-engineered the fear toxin. And we'll get into why I think so a little later. So he goes to confront the Joker alone, of course. And the whole thing was really sloppy. It was really sloppy. Like, he was investigating the amusement park area and then immediately whacked on the head, and then he's beaten with the crowbar and it's done. Like, that's really anticlimactic. And I understand they did it because I guess for rights reasons they couldn't show the Joker, or maybe they just didn't bother to cast anyone. But if you knew you weren't going to cast someone, you should have planned better, because Jason would have put up a fight. The man was on drugs. He would have put up a fight. So it was just really sloppy that he was down in 5 seconds and dead. So we cut from that to this intro scene with the Titans, right? Which the tone really, really jarring, because this fight scene is probably the best scene in the episode, in my opinion. It's kind of, it's not campy, but it's playful. We've got banter with Nightwing and everyone. They're fighting Gizmo, of all people. Gizmo. So it's really, I don't want to say it's campy, because it's not, but it is kind of playful. And it's weird that they said it right after this emotional scene with Jason. Like, I would have started off with this intro scene of them fighting Gizmo, and then Nightwing getting the call that Jason is dead. And then the next scene, we sort of flash back a little bit to how Jason got to that point. But that's just me. So we have that intro fight scene. Like I said, they were fighting Gizmo. Totally a missed opportunity, because I don't understand how you have Gizmo and he's not using any gizmos. Like, there's no mechanical arms, there's no little robots, there's nothing. And that's his whole shtick. But you have him with henchmen instead. But whatever, he looked great. So after all that, we get introduced to Tim Drake, and here we go again with Titans introducing a subplot that has nothing to do with your main story, and then you don't talk about it for 3 to 4 episodes after the fact. We didn't need this Tim Drake scene. We didn't. It didn't add anything to your main story. Stop doing it. Stop. You are breaking the flow of your storytelling by adding in these subplots that don't have anything to do with your main story. You are breaking the flow. So Dick learns of Jason's death, and he heads back to Wayne Manor. And again, tonal issues, because you have him arrive at Wayne Manor. This is off the heels of Jason's death, and you're playing this really campy ass music for whatever reason. I don't know. Like, he just found out Jason is dead. Why do we have this music, this almost upbeat music? It should have been no music or a soft instrumental. Moving forward. So I don't know. We get to my main issue with this episode, which was everyone's reaction to Jason's death. Everyone is really, really nonchalant over the fact that Jason is dead. Like, this is someone you considered your family, and you couldn't have shown less emotion towards the fact that he is dead. He was beaten to death by your knowledge. And Bruce was cold, Nightwing was cold, Barbara was cold, and the Titans were pretty much cold. We had Starfire blaming Jason for his death. To me, that is just completely out of character. But maybe that's because I'm used to Starfire being such an empath. But this is insane, because you spent time with him and you blame him for his death? And then we go to Nightwing and Bruce, and there's nothing there, which I was just completely surprised, because I know, Nightwing isn't a huge empath, but he cared about Jason. You spent time with him, and you're not showing anything. You're on the same emotional wavelength as Bruce, and that is a problem. Same with Barbara. That is a problem. And Nightwing seems to be the only one who gives a shit about the events leading to Jason's death, because he finds a chemistry booklet and he's like, well, why is this here? Because Jason doesn't read. But no one seems to care outside of Nightwing. Barbara blows him off and Bruce blows him off, which is weird, because Bruce, of all people, would have investigated that purely out of guilt. So, okay. So we are introduced to Barbara. And it's clearly post-Killing Joke. She's in the wheelchair. It looks like she only has one leg, which, how did that happen? I don't know. Because it's very clear she holds a lot of resentment towards Bruce. Mostly over her father's death. She puts that on him for whatever reason. I don't really agree with that. And probably things that happened to her as well. So Dick comes to terms with everything, and he's like, look, the Titans failed Jason. And, him and Barbara try to have this intervention towards Bruce. so he can grieve, and it doesn't work. Because not too long afterwards, we find out that Bruce is already looking for replacements, which is very odd. Very, very odd for Bruce to already be looking for some sort of replacement. I don't understand that. Why are you looking for a replacement? And I guess this is his way of not grieving, but like, he died on your watch. I would think Bruce wouldn't even want to give that a thought. I don't know. But the Duke Thomas cameo, that was everything. I loved it. So all of this builds up to the end of the episode when Bruce comes into Dick's room, drops a bloody crowbar, and is like, it's done. And we are to believe that he killed the Joker. I don't know if he killed the Joker, honestly. I really don't. So let's move to episode 2, titled Red Hood. We start off with a scene reenactment from the animated film Under the Red Hood. It was a nice little reference. It's the scene where all the gang leaders, all the top gangsters and drug dealers of Gotham come together, and they're like, well, okay, you didn't invite me here. You didn't invite me here. Why am I here? And then Red Hood makes himself known in decapitated head fashion. It's great. I liked the scene. I thought it was a nice nod to the film. I do not like Red Hood's helmet. I wish he had on the leather jacket, the brown leather jacket. He wears it, I think, in episode 3, but without the helmet. It's weird. I need him in the jacket. It completes the look for me. But the helmet, not a fan of, because he just doesn't look intimidating. You gave him facial features and you've removed all intimidation. But that's just me. So we cut from that and we are with Dick and Barbara, who are basically discussing the events of the last episode. And it turns out that after Bruce's declaration of murder, he left and he told Dick, be a better Batman, quote unquote. Just manipulative as hell. And Barbara shares my sentiment. She was like, look, don't let him coax you back into Gotham with that line. Don't let him do that. Please remember that this is what she said, because it's gonna come back up. Please. So Dick decides to bring in the Titans, and this is when the ball gets rolling, because Jason finds out, by watching the news, that the Titans aren't in town. So he's like, okay, cool, it's time to play a game. And the way he plays the game is he has pretty much blackmailed innocent civilians to rob banks or blow up buildings, or else their children will die. That's the game. So Dick is trying to have a one-up and, trying to figure out how do we figure out Red Hood? How do we do this? And so he's talking with Barbara, and Barbara's like, well, we've been using Scarecrow to profile people and get information. And I was like, oh my God, Scarecrow? And I'm telling you, Scarecrow is a bigger player than they're letting on in these episodes. He is somehow behind this. I guarantee it. The information that he tells Dick throughout these, episodes 2 and 3, it's too coincidental. It's too much of almost a plot convenience. He's telling him like really specific information that you just wouldn't get from a police file, because that's all Scarecrow had to work with, was a police file. And he's telling him this boy has a jealousy complex. He knows who you are. He has daddy issues. He's fighting with his dad. Like, to me, there's no way you could get all that from a police file. So Scarecrow is absolutely in on it one way or another. Absolutely. I will be surprised if he's not. So all that happens. We cut back to the Titans, who are at Wayne Manor, pretty much trying to figure things out. And let me just say right now, Gar and Superboy's comedic timing, Mwah, chef's kiss. It is amazing. They are the funniest duo in the show. It's never too much. It's just right. They work so well off each other. Oh, and I already love Ryan K. Potter, so I love it. It's great. We cut to Starfire, who is still having visions. I didn't mention this, but she's having these visions. And what happens is when she comes out of these visions, she's either been teleported somewhere, or in this case, she's speaking full Tamaranian, which was great to see. And she's very hostile. Like, she attacks Gar and Superboy, but Superboy stops it from escalating to something crazy. After she has her little episode, Corey calls her therapist, who was in the first episode. And just like in the first episode, there is something's not right about this therapist. This is the second time that in the midst of this phone call where Corey is trying to figure out what the hell is going on, he has tried to make a move. He's tried to make a pass at her. And I'm looking like, excuse me? What are you doing? You cannot be this woman's therapist and then also try to get in her pants or make a pass at her, take her out on a date. That's not, you cannot cross that boundary. That's not allowed. Am I wrong in that? Like, hello. You can't do that. So there's definitely something up with this therapist. I wouldn't be surprised if he was someone else in disguise. It's just unnerving that twice now he has tried to make a pass at her, and it seems like they had something in the past before she started seeing him as a patient, and that already is just a problem. It's so many boundaries have been crossed. But moving on, Hank and Dawn show up a little bit later to help with tracking down Red Hood. If you don't know how I feel about them, you will soon, because I'm over them at this point. Dawn, for whatever reason, gets mad that Hank is here. Like, she was like, you didn't text me, why didn't you let me know you were here? But then in the same breath, when Hank counters with, well, why didn't you tell me you were coming back? She's like, well, I don't need to tell you my every move. I don't need to give you a phone call. Okay, well, you don't need to tell him where you are. Why does he need to tell you? Dawn, make it make sense. Make it make sense. The rules can't only apply to him and not to you. You're both on the same team. You should have expected that he would be there. Come on. Anyways, moving on. So, after some time, the Titans get a lead and they're called in for a bank robbery. Turns out the bank robbery was a whole setup by Red Hood. So the bank gets blown up, everything goes awry, and Barbara is pissed because she stood down so the Titans could do their thing, and it didn't work. And this is why I asked you to remember that she told Dick earlier to not let Bruce manipulate him with the be a better Batman line. Here is where it comes up again, because after everything goes wrong with the bank, she's pissed at Dick and she tells him the instructions, I believe, were be a better Batman. What? Barbara, just hours ago you were telling Dick to not be manipulated by those same set of words, and now you're trying to use them against him because you're pissed about how things went down, even though you understand that Nightwing is not Bruce. And one of the reasons you resent him is because Bruce tries to mold these kids into him. That's one of the reasons why you resent him. So why would you then try and taunt whatever. Okay, whatever. So Later on, the Titans end up figuring out where Red Hood is located, and they go and confront him. And him and Nightwing fight one-on-one, and then it's revealed that Jason is Red Hood. Now, in my opinion, this reveal was done way, 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 way too soon. I would have waited till episode 3, because we're only 2 episodes in. There's no sort of suspense, nothing. It was rushed, and part of that is because they're trying to speed through the storyline, and you really shouldn't. It's not wise. This deserves half a season, or really an entire season. But now we know that Jason is Red Hood. Everything that happens in episode 3, you could have still did it while keeping the Red Hood's identity a secret, because all those clues would have led to audience members and the characters figuring out who Red Hood is. But no, we know who he is by the end of episode 2, and it's just too soon. It's just way too soon. So, episode 3, Hank and Dove. Once again, we have an episode centered around 2 characters who have brought nothing to the main story. Let's get into it. So we start off with Dick digging up Jason's grave, and he opens the coffin, no body. So Dick tells the team that Red Hood is Jason. So this introduces a slew of theories and questions as to why Jason's back, how is he back, what's going on. So Starfire starts first. She's like, well, maybe Bruce was responsible for Jason's resurrection. He knows people. To which I ask, well, but why? What would he gain from bringing Jason back to life? You know what? That's a viable idea. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's a viable idea. Bruce would, in this universe, I think, would probably go the lengths and bring Jason back to life as some sort of a do-over, because maybe the guilt consumed him. But then Dick counters with, well, Bruce wouldn't kill the Joker if he knew Jason was alive. This also raises some questions for me, because it's like, okay, at this point we're still being led to believe that Bruce has killed the Joker, which I don't believe. I don't think he murdered the Joker. I really don't. We'll get into that later, but I don't think he murdered the Joker. So then Dove says, well, is it Ra's al Ghul? To which I ask, how do you know about Ra's al Ghul? Like, I don't understand. How do you know about him and the Lazarus Pit and the League of Assassins? I don't know. I didn't expect her to know about him, but these are really nitpicks, but I did want to talk about them. So the next idea is from Starfire. She says, and quote, if someone's bringing people back to life, maybe they can bring Donna back. To me, this was a dumb statement. You do realize that your teammate, your friend, Raven, she left for that exact purpose. And she's probably going to be the one to bring Donna back because she has the power to. Did you forget that? And second of all, we see what Jason has become as a result of his resurrection. You want Donna to go through that as well? I'm not saying she would immediately go down the same path, but to be resurrected like that, that could really mess with her mentally and emotionally. That could create a chemical imbalance. Like, you don't know. And you're advocating for that. Come on. So, but I get why she mentioned it. Again, these are nitpicks. So then Dove offers another idea. Maybe he faked his death. Again, I think that's a dumb statement. Why would Jason fake his death? What does he gain from going off the grid like that? If Jason really wanted to go off the grid and become the Red Hood, I think he could have did it. Nightwing hadn't spoken to him in 3 months. The Titans hadn't spoken to him, right? Bruce is off somewhere, leaving him alone in Gotham to defend it. Jason could have easily went off the grid and said, I'm going to defend Gotham my way. So I don't think he would gain anything by faking his death. And I'm speaking from the character's point of view, because of course we as the audience saw him get beat with a crowbar. So, all right, moving forward. All of this culminates. Hank is upset. He's like, I'm ready to kill Jason. If it comes down to me and him, I'm taking him out. And this is why why is he here? Why is he and Dove, why are they here? You really don't hold any sort of emotional connection to Jason. You don't. You had a couple scenes with him, and that's it. Why are you here? And now you're ready to kill the kid. Why are they here? They have offered nothing. They don't have any sort of connection to the main plot. They always have their own shit going on. Give them their own show. I've said this in my overview for the show, and I still say it now. We keep having these episodes centered around them, and they do not move the plot forward in any way. It moves their individual stories forward, but not the overall story. And I'm kind of sick and tired of it. But okay, whatever. And so, you know, Dove talks to him afterwards and he's like, what the hell is your problem? Dick's just doing what Bruce would want, which I don't know why that's their mindset. Why can't Nightwing be doing this for him? Nightwing holds a separate relationship with Jason. That's pretty much his brother. He's like, when did Bruce become the barometer for a good moral compass? When we have seen in this show, he is anything but. He is very gray. So why is he the barometer for if someone has a moral compass or not? Whatever. Okay, so the plot gets rolling when Jason calls Hank and basically lures him into a trap. He's like, you're the only one who ever listens to me. Hank is like, just tell me where you are. And it's this whole thing. Hank really falls for the okie doke. Like, Jason has you stripped down naked and you don't suspect that anything's wrong. Like, your goal was to talk to him, and now you're in a random location with no clothes on and you haven't seen Jason yet. Like, the alarm should have been ringing. I wonder why Hank, of all people, though. I don't know. I would think if anyone, maybe call Dove. She's more of an empath. She would be more likely to fall into the trap, but who knows? I could be nitpicking. All right, so Hank comes back and he's strapped with a bomb. Jason calls Dick like immediately after and he offers a trade. I'll save Hank's life. I'll deactivate the bomb if you give me 50 million in gold bars. Obviously, this is really all a game to him because it's not really about the money, right? He's just playing with it. So Dick tells the team about the ransom. And again, the team just really has no mercy towards Jason at all. And it's crazy because this is someone you consider your family, but you are ready to wipe him off the face of the planet. And I understand that Hank's life is in jeopardy. I get that. But I was just expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting them to be this cold towards Jason. But this is how you know that they really failed him. They really never gave a shit about him. And I love that Dick is like, you know, it's not one or the other. It's not. That's how someone you consider family, that's how they think. Can it be to a fault? Absolutely. But I would think, because he's your teammate, you would want to save Jason alongside Hank. But no, they're ready to be rid of him. everyone who's not Nightwing. It's crazy. Dick visits Scarecrow to get more information, and like I said, Scarecrow is absolutely in this some way. But through the information that Scarecrow gives, Dick and the team figure out that the bomb is of a Wayne Industries prototype. And so Superboy is now tasked with building a deactivator. And then Corey is tasked with going to Barbara Gordon and figuring out what the hell happened with Jason's body. So all that's happening, Hank and Dove have a moment. Because Hank is resting in a bedroom. He's hooked up to a monitor. And so he and Dove have a moment, and it almost gets sexual. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hank, you're supposed to be keeping your heart rate down. Like, you're gonna die. Like, you gotta chill out. But nothing, it doesn't get any further than her straddling him. And after that happens, we cut to Corey, who's with Barbara, and they're watching the footage from the morgue, and they realize that Jason's body was taken. Now, this is puzzling to me, and this is why I really believe Bruce, in some way or another, knows that Jason is alive. He knows it. He absolutely knows it. Because if his body was taken, how did Bruce bury him? How? There's no way he did. Because when Dick dug up his grave, it was an empty casket. Which means that when Bruce had the funeral, there was no body. Remember, Bruce had this funeral with no one else in attendance. It was literally just him. He told Dick in episode 1, we already had the funeral, I buried him next to Alfred, and he was the main one trying to squash Dick's questions about Jason and the chemistry booklet. So I really believe Bruce knew Jason was alive, and he may have had something to do with bringing him back to life. Because this it's not like in the animated film where there was a fake body. No, there was no body. I don't know. Bruce definitely had something to do with it. So Dove at this point is desperate. So against Dick's wishes, she robs an armored truck for the $50 million in gold bars and meets up with Red Hood. But of course, Red Hood's fucking with her, and that turns into a whole thing. Meanwhile, back at Wayne Manor, Hank and Gar have a moment, surprisingly. I thought that was interesting. But then Hank says this one line. He talks about how he takes this predicament as a sign that he should have never left his family. Which is some bullshit. How can you say that? How can you sit here and say that you take this as a sign that you should have never left the Titans, who you consider your family, but just a couple hours ago, you were ready to slaughter one of your family members? Slaughter is... Okay, I embellished. But you were ready to kill Jason, someone you considered your family. You were ready to axe him off. But now, this is a sign, I should have never left my family. That's not what we do. Get out of here. It was getting real fast and furious with how many times they mentioned family. Let's see. So, everything culminates, and Hank dies. He actually dies. And I want to question his death. I want to question, like, maybe he didn't die, but I don't know. I don't know. Oh boy. So this is going to be interesting. I wonder where they're going to go from here, now that Hank is dead. Oh boy. These first 3 episodes, there were some good moments, but overall I'm just disappointed with how rushed and sloppy this Red Hood storyline is so far. And I don't like how detached Bruce is from the story. He plays a major part and he's barely there. They even said it. How can Jason be in a battle with his father who's not even here. Like, I don't know. But what did you guys think? Let me know. Let me know. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will catch you guys this weekend because we're going to talk about Marvel's What If. I got 2 episodes now to catch up on. So, not catch up on, but talk about. Um, I'll see you guys then. Bye.